So yeah, so she's expanding, and then at some point she's like, all right, I got to get off of Sony. I'm not trying to still deal with this shit.
Yeah.
So she gets off of Sony.
Yeah, she finishes her contract with them. She would listen. You got to crank out some albums before we can let you go, Songbird.
This is a business here. So she signs with Virgin Records.
Yes.
For $100 million.
I mean, Dr. Evil stepped in.
$100 million. And that's just, I mean, that's a lot of money now, obviously.
Yes.
But in whatever, 2099, whatever that was, that's a ridiculous amount of money.
It really is. It really is. What are you going to do with all that, Mimi?
But this is the thing. So obviously there's a lot of pressure associated with all this fame and all the success that she's getting.
Yeah.
And now you have a corporation throwing $100 million behind you. That's a lot of stress.
Yeah.
Because not only are you expected to make music, but you're expected to get that money back.
Yeah. And she was putting pressure on herself even before that, because she had number ones like 10, 11 years in a row. She was just getting awards, and she made herself into a workaholic because she didn't want to go back to where she was before, you know.
She wanted to go back to the island.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Where she's like literally tortured by people. And she decided that she was just going to work. She was going to get on a plane. She was going to go to Minneapolis with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. She was going to crank out 3 songs. She was going to hop on a plane and go right back. And these producers were like, they had never seen anything like it in their life. They were like, what is this? And they worked with Prince. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, basically, from the time that she got signed until like the early 2000s, she just did not stop. Yeah. For a straight decade. Yeah. Like, you got to take a break at some point. Yeah. Or something is going to go down.
Yeah. And it's weird because, like, being young at that time, you didn't even feel kind of annoyed by it. Now it's kind of different with celebrity, where like if you come out with an album all the time, now it's like you have to do brand deals, and now you have to be on like social media, so it's like an onslaught of you. Right. But with her, it was just straight music and video, so it didn't feel like, you know, she was like super saturating the market. At least to me. I don't know. Tell me in the comments if it felt like that to you.
Yeah, so she was just working like a crazy amount of output for so long, and then at some point all the pressure kind of caught up to her. Yes. And she was working on that movie, right? Yeah. Glitter.
And that's a movie that she had written, and she wanted it to go forth. And yeah.
Did you see that movie?
I did not.
Yeah, me neither.
I knew right away that it was not going to be a good one.
Yeah, well, apparently the people kind of agreed with that.
Yeah.
Because it did not do very well.
It didn't. It really didn't.
So now Mariah is under a huge amount of stress, because also her albums weren't selling as well at this point.
Right. The pop and hip hop was like, you know, we loved it. Like, you know what I mean? Those of us who listen to hip hop and stuff, and we loved Mariah singing. She was always on R&B radio from Vision of Love. Like, so nobody did not know Mariah. But like the masses, you know, out middle America, you know, they weren't necessarily feeling that as much. So, but we're not saying, look, she charted, okay? She may have not been number 1. She was like number 5. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like she wasn't great.
Well, this is kind of the problem with, like, I think early success is like, if you come out with the gate number 1, there's only one way to go from there. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
number 1.5.
Number 1A, number 1B. No, it's just like, if you come out, it's like, if you do even a little work, if you come out number 2, it's like, oh no. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So now,
brutal.
She's got a lot of things going on that are not great. No. Her albums aren't doing as well. The movie flopped. I really wish I had time to watch the movie before we did this, but I just didn't. But yeah, she was the lead in the movie as well. Yes. So it was really this whole movie was like her. It probably felt like a referendum on her as a person.
Yeah, I'm actually getting flashbacks. I have seen some parts of it. Yeah, but not the whole thing. Yeah. You know? I remember a club scene, definitely. So yeah.
So apparently she had a little bit of like a breakdown.
Yeah, I watched that episode. Like I watched it live.
So on TRL?
Yes.
Yeah, so TRL, it's funny because Total Request Live, right?
Yes.
I know TRL was a big deal for a long time.
Yeah.
At their studios in, that was Times Square, right?
Yep, that was Times Square.
So apparently she showed up unannounced.
Yeah.
And started handing out like ice cream to people.
Yeah, she came with a little Good Humor truck, and she had on this like a halter top and these really, really short shorts, and she had on like not mules. What are those, like, high wedges? She had on like wedges, so it's just like, to me, she was kind of always over the top. She was getting there and showy, especially since the Honey video. She was always doing a lot. So I didn't really see it as her breaking down, you know, especially when people would be on MTV. They kind of always overdid it.
Like, it kind of seemed par for the course.
Yeah, to me. But then after... Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, afterwards, I mean, just she had a bit of a breakdown. Like we said, I mean, we're talking about over a decade of just nonstop work.
Yeah,
and that's enough pressure in itself. But then you get all the money involved. Then you get the movies and the album's not doing as well. And she had a little bit of a mental snap. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the label was fucking done with her.
Yeah, they got rid of her. Well, they bought her out.
This is so crazy. Like, they bought her out for like $28 million or something like that.
They paid her to leave.
She literally made $50 million from Virgin Records in like a year. Mm-hmm. And for most people, it's like, oh, wow, that's great. You just made $50 million. But like, you got to think about it. They basically paid her to fuck off.
Yeah.
That's kind of embarrassing. Even though you're loaded, I mean, you're making a shit ton of money. That's fucking embarrassing. And that's happening on a worldwide stage.
Yeah.
And everybody knows about it.
Everybody's watching. And I mean, and they were like relentless. Like, they were digging into her relationships. They were blaming her for Jeter's losing streak because she was dating Derek Jeter after a while. They blamed her for that. Like, I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah. So she took a little bit of a much needed break.
Yeah.
It was only like 4 months or something. It wasn't like a crazy amount of time, but she wanted to work.
Yeah,
but she clearly needed to, reset.
Rest. Yeah, definitely. And so she did. And then she came back swinging, singing. Which was it?
Singing for the fences. Singing home runs.
Yep.
Just like Jeter.
Yep.
Yeah, she comes back. What was the name of the comeback album?
Butterfly?
Was that the one? There's a lot of albums. I kind of get them confused in my head.
Yeah, I know there's Emancipation of Mimi and there's Butterfly, and I get those two confused. But she brought a whole bunch of all-stars because she signed to Island. Mm-hmm. And that brought on, like, Diddy and JD, Jermaine Dupri. Like, she just had an all-star team. She brought the Locks in, I mean, it was just crazy. So, yeah, she starts soaring there, too, like, and making, like, undeniable hits again.
Yeah, and she just goes right back to the top.